For a while now, Connor Bedard has been wowing spectators with his unbelievable on-ice talents. The future first overall selection has proven to be the best thing we've seen rise through the ranks since fellow Connor McDavid. However, outside of the fact that he's great at hockey, not a lot is known about the BC native. Therefore, I decided to try and unearth a handful of facts about hockey's latest phenom. And with that, here are 5 facts about Connor Bedard that you probably never knew. Lynn Valley, British Columbia. Historically a logging community, the town formerly known as Shaketown is known for its gorgeous views and hiking trails. However, in more recent years, it's become increasingly known for being the hometown of one extremely gifted resident, Connor Bedard. Son of Tom and Melanie, Connor observed and took in a hard work ethic from his parents. Tom, who has been in the hazardous foresting industry for quite some time, recalls what it was like when Connor was growing up. I was commuting every day, up to 8 hours a day for 25 years. You do what you have to do, with a young family, and a mortgage living in North Vancouver. But the young Connor quickly began to model the same work ethic he'd seen emanating from his most important role models. By age 3, Tom recalls his son having a hockey stick basically glued to his hands. From the age of 3 on, Connor always had a ball and a hockey stick. He would be stick handling in our open kitchen, ruining the floors, and he'd do it for hours, Tom recants. However, when it came time to take to the ice, Connor was surprisingly not too thrilled. My first time going out onto the ice was just skating, he says. I didn't really like it at first. However, once Connor realized on the other side of the rink that there were kids doing stick and puck sessions, he became more enthused. My husband just got a stick from one of the people working at the rec center, Melanie recalls. That was it. He had the stick. Humorously, Connor became so immersed in the sport, according to the Toronto Sun, that unlike most kids his age at the time, he didn't even want to go to Disneyland. But when the family did go on vacation, leaving without a hockey stick and skates was no option for the young phenom. We did go to Hawaii once, Tom noted, but he had to take along his inline skates and his hockey stick.
He'd actually heard there was a league there, so he was hoping that he could join the league yeah. For the 10 days that we were there.
By the time his son was 5, Tom decided to take the initiative and sign his son up for hockey at the local North Shore Winter Club. And it wasn't long after that Connor had the privilege of selecting his own jersey number. Local hockey coach John Calvano recalled how the process went down. A manager of our team, who's a big part of our 05 development group, went around the room and asked every kid, "What number do you want?" when they were 5. Numbers 87 and 97 were popular, so we had to take votes and draw names to see who got the number. And Wayne Gretzky was 99, Calvano says, so nobody was going to get that. When Connor asked for 98, our manager asked him, "Who's 98?" And he said, "I'm 98. We kind of looked at him like, "You're 5 and that's your response?" It was pretty neat to hear a 5-year-old say, "That's my number." And with that number on his back, Bedard quickly went to work, rising through levels while facing opponents that were years his senior, and has continued to forge a legacy of his own. Most of the greats, such as, for example, Sidney Crosby, who notoriously practiced his shot in the basement growing up, managed to do some damage to nearby objects. As far as Crosby was concerned, it was the family dryer that ended up taking the brunt of the missed shots. And for Bedard, well, it turned out to be nearby windows. "When I was really young, I'd be in the front yard and up the street," Bedard recalls. "I had a net, I'd go out with my dad and shoot pucks all the time. Then, when I got older, my shot got a bit harder. I started to break a few windows." According to The Athletic, the Bedard family solved their predicament by hiring their neighbor, who happened to be a professional carpenter. The structure's exterior sports a wooden edifice with a large wooden stage. The openness to it allowed for Bedard to practice and not feel so closed off from the outdoors. Neighbor Mike O'Brien recalls what he first thought about the installment. "We kept hearing this constant banging, so I just chalked it up to someone was doing a home renovation, like building a deck or something," he says. Little did he know, this addition would allow for the greatest prodigy seen since Connor McDavid to hone his skills for years to come. However, even though he wasn't breaking any more windows, Connor still had to be mindful even outside. "I don't know if I got complaints from neighbors so much as I had to use some common sense," Bedard says. If I'm out there at 10 at night and firing pucks off wood or whatever, I'd hear about it. As we tend to see with players and their siblings, usually the athleticism genes tend to be spread out in families. And when it comes to the Bedard clan, that's clearly the case as well. Connor's older sister Madison has competed in gymnastics at the national level for Team Canada. Aside from her passion for gymnastics, Madison is currently in her 3rd year at the University of Burnaby in BC. However, her approach to academia slightly changed when she decided to accompany her brother during the pandemic over to Sweden. Connor, who was 15 at the time, was unable to play for what would have been his first season in the WHL. However, Madison went with her brother overseas in the fall of 2020 so he could play at a high level and get the valuable experience he needed. But in doing so, she switched from a classic classroom setting to doing her classes fully online. However, Madison wasn't just along for emotional support, as she ended up also helping her brother with his schooling as well. "She's kind of my tutor too," Connor pointed out, "so there are a lot of areas where she helps me out." As the 2023 NHL entry draft nears, the hockey world has been spectating as to where Bedard will end up. The term tanking for Bedard has gained so much steam that it even had NHL Commissioner Gary Bettman speaking out against it. Despite this though, there's one team that's been conveniently struggling in this campaign: the Vancouver Canucks. After trading away their captain Bo Horvat, the Canucks have struggled immensely overall in this current season. Therefore, there's definitely a chance that Bedard could be playing for his hometown team. And unsurprisingly, he grew up supporting the Canucks pretty much from day one and considers himself a huge fan. Honestly, I'm a huge Canucks fan to this day. I grew up watching every game. It was pretty funny. I'd be watching while they were playing. I'd be playing mini sticks by myself, trying to recreate the moves. Whenever the Canucks got scored on, I'd throw a temper tantrum. They lost the Stanley Cup final in 2011, so I was still really young and a big fan. And I remember I was crying for a few days. It was terrible, he recalls. Knowing this, it would be extremely poetic to see Bedard don the Canucks colors officially here later this year. In conclusion, honestly, I had a lot of fun learning about Bedard and found his story way more interesting than I expected to. Not only is his on-ice play extremely fascinating, but also how he got to where he is today. Bedard is a perfect example when it comes to showing how far hard work and dedication to one particular thing can take you. And I have a feeling all of his practice will be taking him very far in the upcoming years. Hope you all enjoyed this video, and I'll see you all next time.